this thing on? Oh, hey man, I didn't see you there.
Nice place you got here. Yo, there gonna be any chicks here? Besides Dr. Laura, of course.
Oh, I knew I should have brought my own stool.
Dr. Laura's not a chick. She's an angel.
Oh, she's retiring? Good for her. Man, Dr. Laura, she was a real one. Oh, I'm going to miss Dr. Laura, I am. She was sharp, man. So smart. She was a giver.
So calm. Nothing rattled her.
Dr. Laura, the patience of a saint.
She loved taking care of others. Always such a good listener. Dr. Laura always saw the best in people. Always. At one time I had fallen in with a nasty sort of crowd. Some real naughties if you've ever seen one. And I was one of the naughtiest of all. It got so bad that I got myself imprisoned at some point. The food was just awful. And I suppose that's why I started experiencing the most awful stomach pains. I believe it was appendicitis or some ailment of the sort. I can't be sure. Regardless, they took me to see Dr. Laura, and she must have been very busy that day because I had to endure an insufferably long wait to see her. I noticed that I was getting a lot of funky gunk in my eye, so I did what any normal person would, and I scooped it out of there. But no matter how many times I get rid of it, it kept coming back.
She told me I had something called Prader-Willi syndrome. A what? I asked her to repeat it several times to make sure I heard her correctly. She obliged once. Oh, I was in a terrible place then I was. I still had the peanut butter on my fingers and I was licking it off. Just as she was diagnosing me.
Dr. Laura diagnosed me with mucus fishing syndrome. I told her I hadn't been fishing since I was just a little boy, but she corrected me that it was just the name of the disease that I had.
Even being sure to get that tricky bit underneath my fingernails, I was not so good at trimming them back then. Then, she had this little elephant on her stethoscope, probably for the kids, but to me it looked just like a rare cut of tartar. She told me not to eat it, but I was determined. Next thing I know, I'm being held down by two other doctors. I'm scratching, I'm clawing, trying to get my hand on that pachyderm, but I was hungry and weak, and I couldn't get up.
So, there I was, handcuffed to a hospital bed in the waiting room, and what should come on the telly but a program instructing kidnapping victims how to escape handcuffs. I knew that was not the sort of program a person of my character at the time should be watching, but again, I was a rather awful person then, so I indulged. Eventually, Dr. Laura pops out to let me know that she'll be seeing me soon and catches me watching the program in question. Yo, peep this. Basketball season was coming up and I was chasing gains. I know I don't have enough protein in my diet because protein is mad expensive, but I only ball with a ref once a year, so I save up to get chicken and beef, maybe some occasional pork chops if they're on sale. Whenever I needed a Z-Pack, I could always see Dr. Laura. But I'm also low-key a nutrition hobbyist, so I'm trying to introduce variety into my diet. And naturally, yogurt became a big part of my daily routine, especially since we're in the gold age of fermented dairy. She prescribed me steroids. I told her I was all natural, baby, but she explained it was just a stronger eye drop that would help get rid of all that gunk. Where did she learn all of this? What an impressive woman that Dr. Laura is. She was such a darling, she really was. I could tell she was uncomfortable, but she didn't say anything. Never an ounce of judgment in that one. I told her I should turn this off, shouldn't I? And we shared a good laugh over that one we did. I know I didn't need to, but just for show, I give her a nice bronchitic cough. Or tell her about my latest encounter with Phyllis. 20 minutes later, I had my prescription. You got Greek, of course, but also Bulgarian, which is nice and creamy, and Australian when I want to have a sweet tooth, and kefir when I'm on the go and want to just slurp it down.
She gave me a popsicle, and I sucked it down as fast as I could, but it wasn't the hit that I was looking for, so they gave me a piece of leftover pizza, cold, right out of the fridge.
Actually, I think it was me who turned the television off in the end. Despite it all, she gave me the benefit of the doubt. Dr. Laura was a godsend. I'm gonna miss hitting her up out of the blue like that. You just never appreciate people like that in the moment. I've also been known to stock my fridge with some Yo Play single serves. I know, sue me. So anyway, one day I was licking the residue off of the lid, and it's metal, right? So I cut my tongue on the lid, but I got cherry orchard, which is a pretty vibrant red color, so I don't notice my tongue is bleeding.
The worms were everywhere. In my mouth, in my stool, everywhere.
And pepperoni, and mushrooms, and bell peppers. I loved all of them, but I wish it was warmed. That's what I realized. My desire for that raw stuffed elephant was just so silly. It wasn't food. That day put me on the road to recovery, all thanks to Dr. Laura.
And there was just so much yogurt residue on this lid, so I kept on licking, and he keeps cutting, till all of a sudden I'm lightheaded. I was gonna drive myself to the ER, but that didn't make no sense, which made sense. I was thinking of that, doing that, since I was all lightheaded. Yes, that's right. I escaped my handcuffs, turned off the telly, and ran out of the front door. I don't think she ever properly saw me that day. I never knew what to call her. She isn't a doctor, but PAs don't get cool titles like that. So then I grabbed one of my post-game Pedialytes, and it starts to get in my head straight. But it's also clear that I've lost a lot of blood at this point, so I drink a little more light to head to Dr. Laura and tell her about what happened.
It been going on for a few months, until it got so bad that I had to see Dr. Laura. She was such a sweetheart about it. I showed her a sample I collected in a jar. This was some scary stuff, but she really did a good job calming me down, trying to play it off as if my jar was just full of spit. Such a sweetheart.
She was such a good listener, but there wasn't so much that she could do for a bleeding tongue. But I also realized that I probably didn't lose as much blood as I initially thought, because again, Cherry Orchard Yoplait is a pretty vibrant red, so it looked a little like blood, but more so in the moment than in actuality now that I think about it. I was always a little weirded out by how she just let everyone call her doctor. They probably thought she was one. I'd probably do the same thing if I was her. Some things are too complicated to describe in a family practice setting. But I did bleed a little, so she said I was probably lightheaded from the sight of the blood, not from the blood loss itself. And that makes sense, since I almost always faint when I have to give blood. So she gave me some more water, and then she just sent me home.
She diagnosed me with something called delusional parasitosis. It must mess with memories or something, because I don't remember nothing that she did to me. Whatever it was, worked though, because the worms were gone that day. Dr. Laura is the best.
And it's not like she commanded patients to call her doctor. It was just an accepted thing around her practice. Anyway, she diagnosed me with a jumping Frenchman syndrome.
I probably should have told her I cut my tongue on a metal lid though, because about a week later, I got tetanus. At any rate, cheers to retirement, Dr. Laura.
Thank you for putting up with us all these years. You made my life better.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Laura. Enjoy retirement.